and butternut squash maybe doesn't have any additives. That would be just as good.
Yeah.
This isn't bad though. It has a little bit of cinnamon in it.
We'll give people 1 more minute.
I know, are we the only ones here?
Did you ask for an RSVP?
No.
It's, if you send it, they will come.
I see Abby. Hi.
I mean, she might also join Fit Sixes. She's a member now.
Oh, good.
Abby! How many of us are in the group? There's 10 of us here. How many are in the
48
Oh,
mem-
a
lot of people.
members. That's why I was curious how many people could actually come to this.
I forgot about it until like literally 6 minutes ago.
I've been waiting for it all day. It was the highlight of my day,
Oh
actually.
my God.
That tells you about my day.
How many of them are up in Mammoth right now?
Well, I think they're on their way home because I got a text from Melissa and I wouldn't have got one if they weren't on their way home.
Okay. I wonder if well, they're on their way home. That's a good sign. That means they're not snowed in, right?
Mhm. So they could be snowed in, but they're not skiing because if she's texting, she's not busy.
Oh, because they're coming home today?
I think so.
Oh.
Most people have to work tomorrow.
No, tomorrow's a 3-day weekend.
President's Day.
I mean,
Oh.
the retired life. You don't have to pay attention to work holidays.
Well, we never had work holidays. We never had that day off because they took all of those holidays and they moved them to the end of the year so we could have the week between Christmas and New Year's off.
Oh, that's smart.
Mm-hmm. So we didn't have a lot of holidays. We didn't have, what didn't we have? We didn't have President's Day. We didn't have like Columbus Day. We didn't have, I don't know, there were some other ones.
Did you get Memorial and Labor Day?
We got Memorial Day, Labor Day, and then we got Veterans Day used to be one of those, but then some hullabalootin' person made it that we couldn't do that anymore. So then they made it on Veterans Day is on Veterans Day, whenever that is. So sometimes it's a Wednesday or a Monday or a Friday.
Where did you used to work, Sandra?
See, son.
Oh.
So all the I think the UCs, but all the CSUs have the same calendar, and that's how they worked. So if you didn't have, if the Christmas and New Year's holiday didn't fall at the right time, they were still closed the week between Christmas and New Year's. So if there weren't enough taken holidays to move to the end of the year, then you had to take vacation.
Had to take.
You
Yeah.
had to.
Will, question, this worksheet that you sent us, is this like for notes right here? Is that what this is?
We'll talk about that in a second. I don't know why my stupid Bluetooth things are not connecting. I don't get it.
You don't hear us, or because we
No,
hear
I hear
you.
you fine. It's just not connecting.
Hmm.
Let's try this.
Me too. I could eat it all already.
Show us your dog stuff. Front and center, please. Oh my God.
So cute.
Cat.
So cute.
Here's mine.
This is my cat.
Oh, I see paws.
I
There you
I don't see much of anything.
Oh, like Winnie.
go. Cute.
Oh,
Always nearby. Mine
Becca, you-
abandoned me because I don't have food. The food's
Weird. I don't know why it's not working. Oh, well. Oh, you know what? I know what this is.
Becca, will your cat just sit there? Does your cat want to?
Yeah, he likes when
Sorry.
I work. He thinks I'm working, but he purrs like the whole time. Like if anyone's
Mhm.
like touching him, so I have to mute myself, otherwise he'll purr the whole time.
Hmm.
His name's Peter.
What's his name?
Peter.
Oh, Peter.
Peter.
And
He's
Steph, what's your
fine.
dog's name?
Tommy Thomas. He'll sit like this for hours, and I
Yeah.
just have to get up like every few hours to let him go to the bathroom, but he'll just sleep through my
He's
calls all
so
day.
cute.
Cute.
Well, I guess we'll
Jenny.
just get started. I'm just gonna deal with this. Oh, well. Okay. You guys ready?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so hopefully you have a good idea of what's going on. I'm trying to run this kind of like a whole life challenge in the sense that we're not just focusing. Well, I guess the whole life challenge is primarily nutrition, and the other habits are kind of a secondary, kind of an afterthought. This one, I'd like to run it kind of the opposite direction because I think that most of you have done something with me before, and rather than just keep hitting my head into the wall or something, talking about the same stuff, we can kind of address some of the other lifestyle habits that will help hopefully get you guys more out of the gym, and set you up for more success kind of in your everyday lives. So that's kind of the gist of it. Does anyone have any questions about kind of, hopefully you've read all the little page things I've been sending out every week. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
I do, but do you want me not to ask them?
How do I put Stephanie permanently on mute? How does that happen? No, I'm
I
just
can
kidding.
I can wait till the end, but
No, let's deal. We don't have a lot to talk about. We're just gonna, well, next is basically like, hopefully, what do you guys want to get out of this? And then we'll go over the worksheets and then we'll be done. So we don't have much to talk about. So go for it. Ask
Okay.
away.
Okay. So my understanding is that we're talking today, and today's the 18th. So today's the first day of our 6 weeks of focusing on stuff.
Right?
And each week we're going to get a different item to focus on. Like item meaning sleep is this week's focus, and this is week 1. Why do the papers say like weeks 1, 2, 3, 4? If this is week 1, like, sorry, like, so I feel like some of the stuff you've circulated, it's like sequentially, it's sheets 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, that's because I saved it.
Okay, sorry, that's
I
my
didn't
confusion.
realize I had sent that with, I understand what you're asking. Yeah, this is technically
Week
I
1.
guess we wanted you to think about stuff before this started, but realistically, like, this is day 1, week 1.
Okay.
Alright.
And the first sheet to actually do something with is the sleep sheet. I mean, we read all of the prep, like the pre ready to go, and all the things we needed to do to get ready to go. So we picked our accountability partners. We are figuring out if we have particular goals for our Fit Sixes, what our personal particular goals are.
Mhm.
Okay. And then figuring out a time in our lives that we can spend 10 minutes a day, evaluating how we're doing each day.
Yeah, basically to spend some time with that little worksheet. That's basically all I'm asking for, is just to set aside some time to slow down and think about what's going on.
For this week's worksheet, not every of the Fit Sixes goals.
Every day.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's it? No way.
Oh, there'll be more. We know there'll be more.
I'm sparing everyone. Jenny gets my first batch of questions, and then
Yeah,
they go.
she's your filter. Jenny, I haven't looked at your text yet. I'm sorry.
It's okay, but it doesn't pertain to the sleep category. Oh my God, Abby's.
She's running away.
She's taking off.
It's okay, there's another adult supervising at home, don't worry.
Cool. Say hi to Stanley for me, Michael.
Oh yeah, no worries. He's in the background there. He's doing
He's getting
fine.
some work done. That's a fun background.
That's the only way it makes me feel like I'm at work if I'm at the office.
Okay, cool. Then I guess we'll move
Oh,
on.
Another question on sleep. So are we going to talk about the sleep sheet? Because if we are, then I'll wait for that too.
Yes, we are going to talk about the sleep
Okay.
sheet.
Oh, wait.
Okay. Anything else? Cool. Okay, so if anyone has anything that they want to specifically let the group know, what they're going to try and attack, maybe with a little bit more intention than just these general, they're not general, I guess. It depends. I don't really know how dialed in everyone is with their lifestyle stuff outside of the gym. I think these are relatively general things that I'm suggesting to people, but a lot of people, maybe this might be something that's a little bit more challenging for them. So I don't really know where people are at. So there's that. And if there's anything specific that we don't touch, for example, in your sleep, like if you looked at your worksheets, I did not put any kind of like goal in terms of time, because I understand that people are probably already sleeping pretty close to what they can. But if that's your goal, maybe to add like 15 minutes a day or something like that over the course of the week, like that kind of stuff, that's the stuff you should be sharing with your accountability buddies. And then if you want something more broadly speaking out of this challenge, now is the time to kind of share it with the group if you want to, and if not, you don't have to.
What happens if we have other things in our lives that screw up our ability to do these things?
Like what?
Like family members and dogs.
And babies.
So everyone is going to have stuff that's going to interrupt your best laid plans. And so the goal is just to do the best you can on the days and weeks that you're given, and hit it harder when you have more bandwidth, essentially. Right. So part of the planning, the point of the planning is to kind of, it's a lot easier to, for example, make it to the gym if you, the night before, set an alarm, get your stuff up and ready to go, put it on your like bathroom counter or something like that, than it is to wait till the alarm goes off in the morning of and say, oh, I'm kind of tired, maybe I'll stay in bed, right? So the more we can set ourselves up for success by planning, hopefully you will be able to accommodate for unforeseen circumstances. And then if you can't, you can't, right? You can only do the best you can do. I feel like you had a specific incident that you wanted to point at.
No, but well, I mean, yes, but like every single person on here, I bet you have something in your life that if you were able to do all of the things to sleep consistently and sufficiently, you'd probably be doing them. Like you're not up video gaming. But there's some things like for me, no water within 2 hours of going to bed. I eat dinner within an hour of going to bed. So that would mean not consuming liquid with my dinner. So like, I don't know that I could eat 2 hours before I go to bed because I need to go to bed and I have to eat. And the only time I can eat is within the bedtime. So like there's certain things like I know.
What's the best case scenario in that? Like, I guess we'll deal with that one. Like, what do you think the why behind that is?
Because I don't plan my dinner time at the
No.
right time.
It means don't drink a liter of water right before you go to bed.
Okay,
If you need to
don't
drink
consume
some
any
water
water.
because you eat whenever you eat, instead of
Yeah.
drinking 20 ounces, maybe try 8 ounces or something like that.
Okay.
But water tastes so delicious after 9 p.m. It's like the best.
Yeah, and then how many times a night do you get up to pee?
Twice.
Yeah.
It just happens with age, though. I don't even sleep anymore. It's
It's
just a series-
true. I
it's a
mean, I do
series-
wake
it's a
up and
series
I'm
of
like,
naps in
well, I
between
may
trips
as
to the
well go to the
bathroom.
bathroom. Yeah.
Or you can be pregnant.
Yeah.
No, no, honey.
But the things on your sheet, I think for the most part are doable. And like you know, no screens less than 2 hours before. I could try my best, but that's hard. It's just
Yeah, and like, so the
Find
point
a
is
screen.
not necessarily to follow the letter of the law, because I would have had 50 different things then to try and address. The point is to kind of look at each of these. Let's go through it. So let's start
Yeah.
with sleep. So, in my opinion, I think most people, in terms of order of priorities, I think that sleep is the least prioritized habit that I think the most people can get more out of, I guess is how I want to say that. That's why it's first. So sleep, nutrition, moving, recovery, and then the last two we'll get to when we get to, but that's kind of the order. I don't think any of you, or you wouldn't be on this call, right? Because you wouldn't have then shown up to the gym to then sign up for it, right? None of you are probably struggling to make it to the gym a few times a week, right? So, but eating, probably eating relatively healthy because you're going to the gym, you want to support your movement and things like that. Sleep is one of the things that like we as a society are very, very bad at about prioritizing. So that's why it's number one. Now, sleep. So Sundays in general, the plan box that's highlighted is the Sunday meeting. That's kind of what I had hoped. I want people to get in the habit of, even if they're not coming on this call, setting aside some time on Sunday just to take a look at their week upcoming. Hey, I know I have this doctor's appointment here. Hey, I know my kids have to go to this game there. Like, the more you can get that stuff set up earlier, it makes it a lot easier to deal with, like we kind of already addressed, stuff that you weren't necessarily ready for or prepared for. So Sundays, that's kind of like, if you do nothing else other than that, that would be a win, right? And then Monday is kind of like, we're gonna trickle down the little habit lane, if you will. And the second one I think is most important is just having a consistent bedtime. So even you basically would, and this consistency is going to come up a lot, right? Consistency in our movement, consistency in our eating, consistency in our recovery. The more you can kind of like get in a routine of doing something, the better. So basically the way you look at this stuff is you say, hey, on my worst case, in the worst case scenario, on my worst days or several days in a row, what does my schedule look like on those days? And then you say, okay, I know that I can't get into bed on the worst days until maybe 11 p.m. So that is like, you basically say that and you're like, okay, I want to do a little bit better than that. So let's try for 10:30. Okay, you kind of just back it up from there and you say, every day this week, my goal is to go to bed by 10:30 p.m. Hopefully not to wake up for 5 a.m., but whatever. And
Wow, sleeping till 5 a.m. That's like luxury.
yeah, no, to work out at 5 a.m. was
Frickin'
kind of what I was
decadent.
trying to imply, but yeah. So yeah, that's the consistency. And then the idea behind snoozing, I kind of already addressed it. It's like most of the sleep research basically points at the fact that you're already procrastinating on the first thing of the day by hitting snooze. So you should be setting an alarm for when you absolutely need to wake up to get your day started. And you make that commitment to yourself the night before when you're planning. Hey, this is what I need to do at this time, and I got to get up this time. They base habit loops, right? Hopefully you guys have all finished Atomic Habits. This should, some of this stuff sound familiar, right? So anyway, that's why that's number one. I think if you did nothing else besides planning and doing that this week and throughout this challenge, you would get a lot more out of your sleep. Do we go down the list, or do you guys have questions and want to address things one by one?
So when you say in bed time, can I ask, does that mean like you can be reading in bed? Not on a screen, but reading?
Oh, yeah. So, if any of you have any kind of like sleep tracking thing, yes, in bed. So we'll get to the routine and this power down routine in a second, but basically like trying to be in bed at a certain time every night to try and be asleep by a certain time every night. And hopefully like reading in bed is part of your thing, or breathing or meditation, or I don't know, whatever we'll get to that stuff in a
Okay.
second. But yeah, it's trying to be as consistent essentially with your bedtime as possible.
So the goal is to have 8 hours of, what if the goal is to have hours of sleep? Does it matter if it's 2 hours, get up and pee, 2 hours, get up and pee, 2 hours and get up and in the end you have 8 hours? Is that the same as straight 8 hours?
No, it's not as good. But like we kind of already said, it's perfectly normal to wake up like 1 or 2 times a night. It's kind of pushing it apparently. But if you're waking up to pee 4 times a night, that might be a water thing, that might be a salt thing, I don't know. But realistically, like if you want to be like if you have a sleep tracking app, I didn't finish this. They in bed time does not necessarily equate to sleep time. So like I have the Aura Ring, and apparently my sleep is garbage, and I don't realize if I do wake up, I'm in bed for 8+ hours a night, but I'm only getting like 6.5 to, if I'm lucky, 7 hours of actual sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not waking up to pee. Like that's in bed what time I thought I was asleep. And so, and as we get older, our sleep gets, we get less good at sleeping. So no, it's not necessarily the same, but again, it comes back to like a lot of these habits on this sheet are essentially trying to set you up for better quality sleep. So trying not to have too much water close to bedtime so you don't have to get up and pee. Having no lights in your rooms or screens right before bed, basically with the blue light interfering with your circadian rhythm, and the stuff in your eyes. Same thing with caffeine, like trying to have caffeine as far away from sleep as possible so it doesn't interrupt. Like all of these are basically trying to improve the quality of your sleep. And again, there's no number requirement here. Like I'm just trying to show you that there's probably things that you're not doing consistently that you probably could do better to sleep better.
Will, what's OH negative? What is that?
Alcohol.
Booze.
Okay.
So alcohol and THC, essentially, as much as people think that they might help you sleep, they've pretty much debunked that, and they have a sedative effect, and essentially they help you fall asleep, but they do not encourage good quality sleep once you are asleep.
You said
Mm-hmm.
THC, not CBD? There's a distinction.
Correct.
Okay.
The psychoactive components of THC are not good for it, apparently.
No, they're not.
But if you do just straight CBD, that's not
I
the
don't
same
know
thing.
enough about CBD.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go down the thing. No screens, essentially. The blue
Mhm.
light in the screens, you can set your phones up. I think almost every device currently now has some variation of like a low light or dark or nighttime thing that you can set up. You can set up night shift on your phone. And we kind of already talked about why we're trying to push water further away from our bedtime as we can. And then essentially, before we move on from water, we'll come back to it again on the recovery section. But basically what we want to do is we want to get as much water as early in the day as possible and then kind of taper it off towards the night. So that way we're not, as much as we can, try not to wake up to go to the bathroom when we sleep. Hold on a second. Come on, go.
I see tails bobbing by.
Next one is, and I set this up so like I think that because most people know that they probably should be drinking caffeine before they go to bed, right? A cup of coffee. So that's further down the list. And then as you kind of work your way down it, hopefully you kind of find something that you're not doing consistently and you kind of do everything above that and then start working on consistency with that habit. Most of you are probably not drinking or imbibing hopefully often enough for this to matter in that sense, but basically, if you are gonna have anything like that, they kind of have found like 3 to 4 hours out, it doesn't necessarily interrupt your sleep, but less than that, it will start to mess with your essentially the first few hours of sleep, which are when you have the biggest dose or drop of growth hormone you do in your entire night sleep, which is essentially what's helping repair your body. So you don't want to mess with that if you can at all help it. And then they also found that like your sleep cycle is pretty dialed in within like 20 to 30 minutes plus or minus. Anything outside of that messes with that too. So that's kind of another reason why we're trying to be consistent with our bedtime, in bedtime, and our sleep time. Cool, quiet, and dark. That's hopefully nothing new. The less distractions, the less noises, the less stuff you've got going on in your room, the better. The cooler the temperature they found is better. 65 to 68 degrees is better than 70 plus, which isn't hard to accomplish now, but it is in the summer. And then power down routine. So we can talk more about the power down routine. Does anyone have any questions about the stuff above it?
Can you just define like screens? Is that also TV or is that just your?
Yeah, that's all screens. Any artificial, well, not any artificial light, screens in general, like computers, phones, TVs, iPads. Now I get that some people read on their iPad, right? So
Kindle.
like this isn't a follow it to the letter of the law kind of a thing. If that's part of your night, I'd rather you read a book than watch TV, right? Or yeah. So just try and figure out if your Kindle, the paper Kindle or something like that has better light options, or your iPad or whatever it is.
What about sleeping in? I have that problem. So I'm so used to being up at 4:30 every day that on Sunday mornings, I still wake up at the same time consistently, even without an alarm,
That's okay. What's wrong with that?
because it would be nice to have more sleep.
Yeah, I understand that. They pretty much, I mean, more sleep is almost always better.
My dog is on the same routine, so I don't have a choice. But
Right.
meaning like it would be nice sometimes when I don't actually need to be awake at that time to be able to go back to sleep, but it is very difficult.
Yeah, but that's possible. Kids and dogs ruin your life.
I don't have any strategies for that. I didn't even think about that.
It's fine. I'll just stay awake. Oh, naps, midday naps. Some
Yeah,
people like
naps
to
are
do them.
great. So if you're someone who has trouble staying asleep throughout the night, they don't necessarily think it's as good sleep, but it's better than not adding extra sleep. So naps are fantastic. So
So
somewhere around 1 to 2 p.m. or is like kind of like depending on what time you wake up and go to bed, but like somewhere almost in the middle of your day, or maybe like 2/3 of the way through your day, you grab a 30-minute nap. It's good stuff.
But should you
Have
set it
it.
and limit it to 30 minutes, or should you let yourself sleep until you wake up naturally?
It depends on what time that happens at. If it's
Or-
happening within maybe I don't know what the numbers would be for this, but like if it starts to interfere with you falling asleep at your consistent bedtime, then that was no bueno.
Or if you're doing it in the middle of a work day. I've done that. I went and laid down on the couch and then I was like, oh.
Well, my mom doesn't have to worry about, I guess she does have to worry about that, but she could just tell her boss to forget it.
Yeah, well, sometimes I sleep through a meeting or so, but oh
Sleep
well.
is king. Come on.
As king, I take care of myself first.
Okay,
I
what
have
else?
another question, Will. I have a
Yeah.
question. So, well, it doesn't sound like you read this because it sounds like you think you sleep 8 hours, right? Like you think you're asleep. But if you are a person who knows you're not asleep, like, and like you can't fall asleep, are you of the camp where you should like go read a book or like go do something else and then try to go back to sleep? Or do
Yes.
we just lay there and accept it?
Well, it
Accept fate?
depends on what your laying there is like. If it's laying there and getting anxious and upset that you're not falling asleep, then no, you need to change your environment. You need to go do something else, like sit in your living room and read a book until you start to feel sleepy again, then go back to bed, or
Okay.
do like
Clean the bathroom.
no, I wouldn't do that, because that's too many
Too
levels
awake.
back awake. Like I would try and keep it as low level, as close to sleep as you possibly can, so that it makes it a little bit easier to transition back in. So like Sam Harris actually has a really good, it's called Waking Up. So it's like Headspace. Headspace was a meditation app that they gave everyone in LA County for free, I think,
Oh,
for like
yeah.
6 months during COVID. Headspace is great for meditation stuff. Sam Harris does Waking Up, and he has breathing exercises mixed with his meditations that, like, I don't typically have trouble falling asleep, but within 3 seconds of starting that, I'm asleep. It's like, it is
Magic.
pretty powerful for me. So something that maybe could consider checking into.
Okay.
I guess we're kind of like segueing without having intentionally done so, into power down routines. So habit stacking, and kind of creating a routine. Power down routine is it's a really powerful way to kind of get your brain into like down regulating, bringing it down a bunch of levels, and you do it kind of consistently. So like, I don't know what your guys' power down routine is currently, but something like eat, dishes, clean, shower, teeth, uh, whatever it is.
Jammies.
For me, it's basically try to stay awake through those things, and then the second I'm in bed, I'm asleep. But for most people, it's like something after that's like reading or watching TV or whatever it is. That little stuff right before bed, right after your like mandatory stuff, that's kind of like the sweet spot that you need to figure out, or I think you should. You don't need to do anything, but I think you should figure some things out that help you kind of like mellow and lower the level, lower the volume a little bit, right? So Chris Williams, for example, at the 6:30 class, I don't know if he's still doing it, and he had a lot of trouble sleeping, and I forget whatever the other things I told him to do, but he started to do foam rolling, like right before bed. And he said it was like the biggest difference in his sleep he's ever felt, just doing like 10 to 15 minutes of foam rolling. And he's taking care of some of his recovery stuff in addition to it. So like bang for your buck, 2 birds with 1 stone habits are really good there too. Self-development stuff and personal development or meditation, right? That stuff helps you fall asleep, turns the brain down, and it takes care of some of the other stuff in like the mindset bucket. So yeah.
Well, is there an ideal amount of time to set aside for a power down routine? Like I should start that X amount of time before I want to be asleep?
I mean, realistically, if you set it up right, it's as much time as you possibly could use, right? Because if it's a bunch of things that you enjoy doing that are positively influencing different parts of this Fit 6, for example, it's all part of it, right? The order would matter. So for example, I can only use me as the example because that's the only person who I know what's going on. So around 5 p.m. I'm done. Like I try my absolute best not to look at my computer or at my phones. Part of the reason why people don't get text messages until the next day for a lot of reasons. I batch all of my text messages somewhere around 1 p.m. is when I answer most of them. But anyway, so after 5 p.m. I try not to look at a screen again for the rest of the night. I haven't been watching TV. For the past 6 weeks, just kind of testing some of this stuff out to see if I could suggest it. And then I make dinner, take the dogs for a walk. That's mine. And then I'll shower. And that's usually like start getting in bed time already.
What time is that? 7?
Yeah, 7 or 7:30.
Yeah.
unless I have to go back to the gym to work with someone, but yeah, I try to stretch, to answer your question, Nami, I try to make that as long as possible. Like I back it up until my very last absolute obligation of the day. Cause most of that stuff that I'm doing is like, it's good for me. It's sauna, it's mobility, it's maybe sitting on the bike for 20 minutes, going for a walk, stuff like that.
I would guess that when you're doing things that you feel like you chose to do because they help you and you're not doing it because of some obligation, that it's easier to relax and go to sleep than if you're
Uh-huh.
like helping somebody do something that you don't really want to help them do, but you have to do, or checking an email and thinking about work, that like you're riled up and like agitated potentially
Yeah.
from that, as opposed to like, oh, I chose to do this. I feel good that I'm doing something for me. I'm relaxed and now I can go to sleep.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it should be, I don't know. Like if you're go until the very last 10 minutes before you're basically trying to get into bed, I would try and find something that would be that you need something completely opposite end of the spectrum, like a meditation thing or something like that. Versus like if you've got 30 minutes to 45 minutes, you could sit with a book, right? And that would probably wind you down a little bit more gradually. But you have a little bit more room for that. And part of the reason why I like this and doing these is because you should test stuff. Like you should try stuff out and see if it works for you and see if it doesn't. Like I kind of was joking already, but meditation doesn't work for me because I fall asleep instantly. Like, and so like the time that maybe I'd set aside to try and do meditation and breathing exercises probably would be better spent maybe reading. I get a little bit more out of that time, and it would probably have the same effect as opposed to trying to do meditation and falling asleep instantly. And then not that I wasted that time, but like maybe I could have used it for something else that I wanted.
You know, on the Pliability app, there is one of the tracks is better sleep or something. I forget what it was called exactly. And there's like 8 different sessions and they're only like 10 minutes. And there's different, movements that you do. And I was for a while thinking back now, I was doing that for a while and it was helping. I took like 4 of them that you can kind of like even do in bed. And I was doing those, and I think that does help, like the foam rolling kind of does help you relax. I should go back to doing that.
Yeah, but basically it's like that's why I always tell people to breathe when they're doing that stuff. Because it's essentially a signal to your brain that you're choosing to relax. It's a
Mhm.
choice to relax, not like it just kind of happened. You feel safe enough in the environment you're in to say, okay, I can turn my back to whatever's going on and just exist, kind of a thing. And the power down routine, kind of jumping back to Nami's question, doesn't have to be huge. It could literally just be that. It could be the 10 minutes of stretching before bed. Like just try and cart, and then the 10 minutes before that to think about what you're doing the next day and the day you just passed, right? But realistically, like, don't make this bigger than it is because it's probably not going to be successful if you're trying to make this 2-hour power down routine when you don't have one to begin with, right? Small little changes, which slowly add things in as you kind of figure them out.
Will,
And then huh?
can I ask a question about, I take like some supplements before I go to bed. I know I had heard that magnesium and vitamin D
Mhm.
together, but I
Cool.
didn't know if you knew of any others that we could take, or any that we should absolutely not take before bed.
As much as possible, unless you absolutely need it, try not to take melatonin. And the Z-Quil, like that's also, I forget the active, it's like diphenhydramine or something like that. It's basically in Z-Quil, the active ingredient that makes you tired is it's a antihistamine that it's Benadryl. It's basically Benadryl. So if you can at all avoid those, unless you absolutely need to sleep and you're just not sleeping. But yeah, magnesium's great. There's a couple different types of magnesium. I think the ones that are supposedly like really help with like sleep and recovery stuff is magnesium threonate and magnesium biglycinate, I believe that are the two of them. I defer to Andrew Huberman's sleep stack. I think if you Google that, it'll give you like 3 or 4 different supplements. And that's
Who?
actually what I take. I take magnesium, I take theanine, which is essentially the calming chemical in green tea. And then I take apigenin, which is also something that's supposed to kind of help mellow you out. And that's it.
Who did you say sleep stack? What was that?
Sleep stack. Like when people do supplements like protein and creatine, that's like a gym stack. That's what like how they refer to them.
Oh,
But you're
Like a
taking
habit stack.
you're taking one supplement that has those things, or you're finding all
No,
of
I
those
have 3.
things?
I mean, they make a supplement that has, I'm sure they make one, but it's probably 5 times as expensive. So I piece it out.
you said a name of a person with the sleep stack.
Huberman.
Huberman.
Huberman. Oh, the guy here on the Matthew Walker on Huberman. Huberman. That
I
guy?
would, yes. So Matthew Walker's like the go-to sleep guru right now in this world, whatever. Okay, and then at the very bottom in the gray, it's essentially just how many hours of sleep, just so you get a sense of how much you're sleeping. And then what's interesting about when you start tracking this stuff is when you start to when you feel like less on days you feel great or on days you feel kind of crummy, you can look back at some of the stuff that you're doing outside of the gym, and maybe there's stuff that you might not have caught before, like you didn't sleep really well last night, or you weren't able to go to bed on time or something like that. And you're like, oh, that's interesting how that affected me. And so like it kind of reinforces the idea of how important these habits are to you. And then you get a sense of how much you're actually sleeping. So that's a good thing too, because theoretically, if we were going to do another round of this, we are going to do another round that's only focused on nutrition. If we were going to do another round of all of them again, they'd look a little bit different because I'd assume that you'd have these kind of under control, and then we would look for stuff kind of at the bottom when I say further action. Working on increasing the quality and quantity, changing the bedtime routine to kind of set you up for better sleep. Things like I wouldn't say that you'd have to do this, but like they make things like that you put on your mattress cover that can change the temperature of the mattress. Like 8 Sleep is one, and I think Steph has one. It's called the Chili Pad.
Mhm.
Right? There's so much stuff down the rabbit hole that you could talk about all of these that we're not actually going to in this first round of it. But if you wanted to, we could. So yeah.
I feel like for me, I'm not good at the things that are on your sheet, so I, at a minimum, need to try to work on those first.
Yeah, and I tried to pick the ones that I think most people are probably not consistent with. And I've tried to order them in a direction that I think people probably are not great at. So don't take offense. If never mind, I was going to make a bad joke.
What's new?
So your little boxes, is that so
Mhm.
like tonight we're planning and then tomorrow we're working on the consistent, is that what that's all about?
Yeah,
Your little-
basically tomorrow it starts with, so you think today, you look at tomorrow and say, okay, my goal is to have consistent bedtime for the rest of the week. Okay,
But we don't have to do it tonight. We can wait till tomorrow.
correct. Today,
Okay.
Sundays are all about setting yourself up for a better week, even if it costs you a little bit of your Sunday.
Well, I have, so my Fitbit also, like your Aura ring, even when I feel like I sleep consistently through the night, gives me little red marks where I guess I'm not in deep sleep. We can't count those are technically not sleeping, even though I'm not like up going to the bathroom.
So I think Fitbit breaks it down awake. I
Yeah.
think it gives you an actual total quantity of sleep, I think, right?
It does, but then it tells
That
me
number
like
does
how
not include the time awake.
right, like it tells me like an hour every night that I'm awake, even if I'm not like physically feel
right.
myself awake.
Yeah,
So
you're not that you're awake, but you're awake. Because I was looking at mine for last night and I'm like, I don't remember being awake at those times, but you were just for a minute or two or whatever.
Which is totally natural. However, the stuff on this list is kind of the things that starts to make that get smaller, and you actually spend more time actually sleeping with the same amount of time in bed. That's kind of what I was after with this one.
Okay, that answers my next question, so thank you.
And then the Fitbit also tells you light sleep, deep sleep, or REM sleep. Yeah, REM sleep, light sleep, deep sleep. And those are distributed throughout the night. And then there's a goal of what you're supposed to have of each type of sleep, or it tells you that.
Yeah, and every night is going to be a little bit different. Like, for example, if you want to geek out about sleep, listen to that podcast and or dive a little bit even deeper and read that book on the bottom of that page. Some really cool stuff in there. So basically, it seems like, let's just assume that you go to bed and wake up at the same time every night. Your distribution of that sleep is going to be a little bit different based on your day. So like if you did stuff that was super high cognitive mental load, it's gonna spend more time in, I think, light and REM. And then if you did like you did a Spartan race or something like that, like something that's far and above your daily activity, like exertion, you'll spend more time in deep sleep. Because your body needs to recover. So each stage of sleep is kind of responsible for slightly different components of restoration or recovery. So it's kind of cool.
How many of you guys have a Fitbit or one of these rings? Because I don't have either one of
Just
these.
sleep. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Because you really honestly can't do anything about that anyway. Right?
Okay.
Your body's gonna
I feel
figure.
like for me, I would get more pissed off when I see the results that I can't.
Okay. And so I actually thought Jenny was gonna say that. So some days I'll wake up and my ring will tell me like, hey, you slept like shit and you are not recovered. And I'm like, I feel great today. And then
Yeah.
other days I get like, the thing tells me I got like an 85, which is like the best sleep score I've ever gotten. I woke up that day. I said, I think I told some of you if I saw you in class that day, it was like last week or the week before. I felt like crap. And it was supposedly the best sleep I've had. So I don't know. So I don't always take those sleep scores and summaries at face value. I don't know.
Okay.
You can't get pissed off about it because you can't do
You
anything.
can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is going to be the theme of this entire thing, right? The theme of the Fit Sixes is all about paying attention to and trying to control for the things you can and not worrying so much about the things that you can't, right?
Right.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I was gonna say if you got like a poor score, you could say, oh, what did I do yesterday? Don't get mad about it, but just think, oh, what did I do yesterday that was different? And then when you do get a good score, oh, how did I get that score? Can't really get pissed off. I only wear mine. I wear mine to work out so I can see my and stuff, and I wear it for sleep. I don't wear it the rest of the day. What? Hi guys.
Oh, hello everyone.
Welcome home.
Thank you. I'm
Glad
glad
you made it back
home.
safe,
Yes, before the storm.
right?
Yeah, it's coming.
I know.
Okay, what else? Oh, the notes section is just there for if you want to start jotting down. I don't know. In case you wanted to write anything. I thought the guy was fun. I wanted to keep him on the pre-made worksheet that I edited, so I just kept it. But you can kind of like, Monday I tried this, Tuesday I tried that, Wednesday I tried this, kind of, the more you write stuff down, the more you'll get out of it, so.
Kind of keep a diary.
For lack of, I don't like calling it that, but sure.
A life tracker. Call it.
Now it sounds like you're trying too hard.
So
Or what else?
the
Anything
other
else?
fit sixes, are we supposed to be doing those things too right now? No.
Let's just work on sleep.
Okay, but if
Okay.
we already had habits that we are trying to stay consistent with, try to just stay consistent with them. We're just
Yes,
not
I think
focusing on
You
them.
still have that worksheet I made, right?
Probably. I don't throw anything away. So yes.
So at the end of this, you guys all get, if you want to go do it again, or you just want to do it on your own, I made with a few people, like kind
Oh,
of.
that one with all of them.
Yeah,
And then
with all of
the
them.
day.
So you
Okay,
basically,
got it.
on one side of the worksheet, you pick whatever habit you want to work on for each of the 6 categories. On the other side of the worksheet, there's a checkbox for every single day of the month. And so you kind of go across, and by the end of the month, you have I wish I'd kept mine. I threw them
But
away.
like it's like whole life challenge, but like on paper. Meaning
That,
like did
that
you
one's like every habit, every day kind of a thing.
Mm.
Nami.
No
Oh,
que-
you're just petting the cat.
Oh, I have a question.
Kim.
It says, listen, Matthew Walker on Huberman. Is that like a podcast guy?
Yeah, Huberman, Tim Ferriss, and Rich Roll all interviewed him around the same time. I think Huberman's is the most informative, but it's also the densest.
Oh, I see. Listen to Matthew Walker on all those other guys.
Yeah, I didn't want to write the episode number of each
Got
one
it,
of them
got it.
because I would have ran out of room.
And then the people to follow are those, is that Instagram?
Those are Instagrams, yes.
Okay.
I should write that down actually, so that's more clear.
Well, I mean, that's the only way I would know to follow somebody. So I was just wanted to clarify.
You're not
Stalk
spot-
them. The old school way in person.
Okay.
So this meeting will always be at 5 o'clock on Sundays.
Correct. Unless, I don't think, I booked out I actually know my schedule for the rest of the year for almost every single weekend through the end of it, so
Be nice.
I should be, barring anything crazy, I should be available. And then you can always look back at these, and then hopefully people start, if they had any questions and weren't able to make this, I didn't check the chat. They'll start putting it in,
What were there
put
like
it
a
in
million
the-
people trying to get in and couldn't get in or something?
no, I didn't put a waiting room on purpose, because I always forget to put people in, so.
But also, if there are people that are doing this thing and have questions that happen to be in our class, should we answer them or should we say,
Yep.
just call Will? Okay.
Yep, and then if it's not satisfactory, that's also the point of having accountability buddies, the coaches doing this, the chat, so if you don't get a question answered, it's your fault. Like that's kind of what the goal is. Like, I don't want anyone to not get whatever they want to know out of this.
Rummy's here now.
Guess
Thank
what Rob had for dinner?
It looks red.
Spaghetti, tomato soup.
Wait, I feel like Will said it already.
Strawberries?
Oh, no, beets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty deep color.
We had borscht, if you guys know.
Oh,
what-
yum. You put meat in your borscht?
No, it was a vegetarian borscht. We had chicken on the side. Oh, and chicken stock, but does that count as meat?
Yes.
Alright, muting myself, there's a lot.
Que más?
Thanks, Will.
Yep.
See you at the gym.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Fun.
a second. How do I do this? Holy smokes, guys.